Greetings and welcome. I'm Mary Beth Temple from Hooked for Life, and in this video we're going to take a look at this cute little red heart pattern, Striping Fun Crochet Baskets. Now these are crocheted from the center out on the bottom using 3 strands of yarn so they stand up nice and straight. When you click on the link below to download your free pattern, you can get more information on the materials. And while you're down there, take a minute to subscribe to the channel for fresh content weekly on knitting, crocheting, and other yarny stuff. But for right now, let's get started. We're going to use 3 strands of yarn throughout this whole project. And to get the interesting stripes that you see in the basket on the photos, I want you to start at more or less the same section in the color repeat on each of the 3 strands of yarn. Now, does it have to be exact? Absolutely not. And even if you start with it exact, likely as you get going, there will be a little transition here or here that is not exactly the same. So I pulled out 1 strand from the center and then matched the other 2 skeins to it. So I did my matching right here where the color change is happening. And then I pulled back until I hit the end of that one ball of yarn, and then I just made the other 2 match. Because the colors don't transition exactly to the centimeter the same all the way through, that's what makes those stripes fade from one to the next, so it's actually a really cool look. So with 3 strands of yarn held together, chain 3, slip stitch and first chain to form a ring. You want to do this pretty loosely. It's an interesting gauge game with this. On the one hand, the work needs to be tight so that the basket stands up on its own. On the other hand, you don't want it so tight that you break your fingers. So I would definitely recommend starting with the hook size that we recommend and then seeing what kind of a fabric you get. But if you can't stand it, if it's too tight, you can go up a hook size. Just make sure that you don't make the fabric so sloppy that the basket will not stand up on its own. So for round 1, we're going to chain 1. And you can see I've got to make sure all 3 strands are under the hook. And then make 6 single crochet in the ring. 1, 2, 3, 4. You might notice I am crocheting over the tails at the beginning just to make things a little more sturdy. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. For me, I find it keeps them out of the way a little better if I crochet over them. 4, 5. I'm going to let them get out of the way now. 6. Going to join the round with a slip stitch in the first single crochet. And sometimes I count backwards to make sure that I'm not crocheting in that slip stitch by accident. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there is my first single crochet, so that is where I'm going to put that slip stitch. So there we are at the end of the first round. So for the second round, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to put 2 single crochet in each single crochet around, including that first one where we just put the round join. And that's going to give us a total of 12 singles at the end of the round. So 2 in each one. That's 1, 2, 1, 2. There is my second stitch in that 6th single crochet. And I'm going to join that round with a slip stitch in the first single crochet, which is over here. So here we are at the end of the second round. For the third round, we're going to chain 1, 2 single crochet in the next stitch, which is that very first stitch that has the round join in it, single crochet in next stitch 6 times. So chain 1, 2 in the first one, one in the next one, now it's at this point, so I've done my first 3 stitches. I like to drop a stitch marker in here at this point to mark the beginning of the round, and it's not important that the stitch marker go under all the strands. It's not so hard to see the beginning and the end of the round now, but as you keep moving, it's a little more difficult to see. So I like to just get in the habit of putting the marker in now. 2 in the next one. One in the next one, etc. We're going to do that all the way around. Here we are with the third round finished. Now we're going to take a look at the pattern. The next set of rounds are pretty much the same concept over and over. So we just finished the third round, which was 2 in one, 1 in the next. The round 4 is 2 in the next, single crochet in each of the next 2. Round 5 is 2 in the next, single crochet in each of the next 3. Round 6 is 2 single crochet in each of the next 4. So you see what happens as the piece grows out in circumference, there are more stitches between the increases. So you're going to do that following the numbers in the pattern until you have 10 rounds done for the small, 12 rounds done for the medium, and 12 rounds, let's look at the next page, and 14 rounds done for the large, at which point we're going to move on to the sides. So I'm not going to make a full-size basket, but I'm going to put just a couple more rounds on here so you can see what I'm doing when I'm doing it. And again, I'm going to keep moving that stitch marker up as I go. I took it off when I showed it to you the last time because I had to get it out of the way of the slip stitch. But as I put more stitches in that first stitch, I'm going to keep marking the beginning of that round. So I have completed 6 rounds, and that is as far as I'm going to go for this particular sample, because any bigger than that, it's not going to fit comfortably on camera. So just a neat little trick I want to point out, when we go to the sides of the baskets, we're going to chain 1 and work in the back loops only, single crocheting in each stitch around. So the last round that I did, and the last round that you do for whatever size you're going to make, I recommend that you do that round join in the back loop only instead of in both loops, because it's just going to be easier moving forward, but only on that very last round. And whether that is round 14 or 12 or 10 will depend on what size that you're making. All right, so we're moving on to where it says sides. I'm going to chain 1, and working in back loops only, I'm going to single crochet all the way around. So here's all 3 of my front strands, and here's all 3 of my back strands. So I'm doing single crochet, but only in that back loop. So remember, ignore the front strands, go under all 3 of the back strands. And you're going to do this all the way around. Now, the reason that we're working in the back loops only here is moving forward, there's no more increases, and we want the sides of our basket to start coming up. So do you see? Because we did back loop only, we have the ridge right there. The work is headed up the side all by itself. Working in that back loop gives you a nice turn where the work changes from going out to going up. So I'm going to finish this round and we'll take a look and see how that looks. Okay, I have finished that first round of the sides, the one in which I worked in the back loop only. And again, once again, without even trying, you see how it's pulling up on the sides? That is exactly what we wanted to do. So we have a nice flat bottom. Yours, of course, will be bigger, but this is nice and sturdy and will take care of itself. And you have your sides pulling up. So when I get to here to join my round, I don't have to make that round join in the back loop only. I can put it under both loops like we've been doing. And so from here on out, until we get to the handles, I'm going to just work one single crochet in each single crochet around, working in both loops like we normally do, until I have done the number of rounds that the pattern calls for. That could be 15 or 20 or 25 after this round. So we have all that written out for you in the pattern instructions. When you have the basket to the height that you want it, the last thing that we have to take a look at is the rounds for the handles. So I'm going to just put a couple more rounds on this and we'll come back and take a look. Okay, here's my little mini basket cruising right along. We have our nice flat bottom with our center out increases. We have our little ridge along the edge to help the sides come up. And you may also notice, as I said, one of the things about not having each skein of yarn do its color transition to the millimeter is that you get a nice smooth transition from one color to the next. So you get your stripes, which is what we're after, but it's not a big clunky color change. It's a nice subtle color change that goes from one to the next. Now I goofed around with my math a little bit because my basket is smaller than yours, but let's take a look at the handle. So right here on the handles it says chain 1, single crochet in the first 10 or 12 or 14 stitches depending on what size you're making, chain 10 or 12 or 14, skip next 10 or 12 or 14, single crochet in the next 20, 24 or 28, chain 10, 12, 14, same as you did before, skip the same number of stitches that you chained, single crochet in last 10, 12, or 14 stitches, which is the number of stitches you'll have remaining till the end, join with a slip stitch in the first single crochet. So what we're going to do is we're going to put chain spaces right here to make that little groovy handle. So I have already done, like I said, I've changed my math up a little bit just to make my own life easier. So I have done the beginning single crochets for my little mini basket here. So now I'm going to chain 10. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'm going to skip the same number that I chained. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is the number that I'm going to skip. Then I'm going to single crochet the specified number of stitches and do the whole thing again. Chain and skip. So I'm going to do that on both sides and then I'm going to join my round like we've been doing. So we're in the middle round of the 3 rounds for the handle. We've completed the first one, which says next round, and then this says next round. And again, you'll follow along with the math for the size that you're making, but essentially what you're going to do is single crochet up to the chain space, single crochet in the chain space, the number specified in the pattern, which is also the same number of chains that you had. In my case, it was 10. Might have to slide them over a little bit, but that's okay. That's why we're going in the chain space and not in individual chains. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Again, you can spread those out over the course of the chain so they're even. Then you're going to single crochet in each single crochet across to the next chain. Put your single crochets in the chain space. Single crochet to the end, join the round in the first stitch like we've been doing. And then for the very last round, you're going to single crochet in each single crochet round, join the round, end off, weave in your ends, and you're all finished. So I hope you had a wonderful time joining us here for the Striping Fun Crochet Basket and learn some new tips and tricks. Please take a minute to like the video and subscribe to the channel for fresh content weekly on knitting, crocheting, and other yarny stuff. I'm Mary Beth Temple from Hooked for Life. Please join us here on the Yarnspirations channel again real soon. Bye-bye.